What's up, guys? Welcome to the Casual Horror Fan channel. Today, we have a little bit of a different video. We're going to be reacting to AVA Pop Culture's video on the truth about A24 and elevated horror movies. I want to say before getting into this, I'm probably going to do a video on my favorite horror-focused YouTube channels. And AVA Pop Culture, and he's not strictly horror, but he does a lot of horror, is near the top. I have immense respect for this guy. I think his name is Chase. He's made a bunch of movies. I tried to watch one of his movies. I'm not really sure how to get it, but it got like a 5.7 on IMDb with like as a low budget film. That's really, really impressive, almost impossible to do. So he's obviously really smart. He knows a lot more than I do. But I think he's wrong here. Also, I will have my teeth by next week. So you will not have to look at me like this. But we're gonna get into things. This is his video. It is the truth about A24 and elevated horror movies. So let's see.
But let's be honest, they are not scary, they are not fun, and they're not even really horror. What they are is pretentious critic bait in horror costumes, and it's finally time somebody said it out loud.
All right, so that's his premise, right? These aren't really horror films. They're not actually scary, and they're pretentious critic bait. I would agree. Well, let's just get into it and we'll work through it.
That's what I mean. All right, so let's start right there. Let's start with the buzzword, the whole myth of elevated horror. Now, I made films, horror films for 2 decades. I've taught films. I've wrote horror films, film studies. I taught it, all that kind of stuff. I hate the term elevated horror. It sounds...
I agree, by the way. It's so obnoxious. And I'm 100% on board with him. It doesn't really make sense. It's just a way to kind of separate this from more schlocky 80s, I guess maybe early 90s slashers. I think it is. I mean, it implies that horror obviously has always been lowbrow, which is just not true. I mean, even if we, think about Psycho, think about really all of Hitchcock's work, a good amount of which could be considered horror. Think about Rosemary's Baby. These are some of the most celebrated movies ever. Think about The Exorcist, right?
Sounds super fancy, right? It sounds great. It sounds like it's just for the people with better taste than you, that are smarter than you, that somehow regular horror is just slop for the unwashed masses. And I hate that attitude as a filmmaker, a writer, and someone who has taught film, but also as a fan. I hate that attitude. It's like all that other horror was just crap, and here is A24 to save the day and deliver cinema to all of you local yokels who don't know what you're looking at. I
couldn't agree more. Again, right as of now, we're on the same page.
I cannot stand that term. It is a marketing term. It is not a real genre. You want to sell a slow, depressing movie where people want you to feel smart, I guess.
Yeah. In some cases, yeah.
I cannot hate this term enough. And you know who else hates that term? John Carpenter. Yes, the guy who made Halloween and basically invented the modern slasher. He called the term ridiculous. In an interview, he said that these directors today, they don't even know what real horror is. They don't even seem to like horror movies. They just want to be seen as serious artists now.
I think there's some truth to that. Well, let's listen to
himself so seriously these days. He's an artist now. Forget it. Goodbye. I walked out. I don't need this anymore. Darren Aronofsky, secretly, I think, hates horror films. Let the geniuses go. Let them go. Let them be geniuses. I'll stay home. Play Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, look, John Carpenter is an ornery man, and while making great movies, that's kind of an appeal to authority, right? It's like, well, this guy made great movies. You all love Halloween, therefore he must be right here. I think there's probably some truth to what he's saying in some of these cases, but a lot of what's considered elevated horror has been some of the scariest movies of the past 2 decades. We'll keep on going.
Hell yeah.
They want the prestige, the festival buzz, and essays written about them. They don't care about the fun, the thrills, the scares, the practice.
And just to, I'm not trying to be a prick, but I wonder how much of this is sour grapes, right? Like, I don't think the critique is necessarily bad, but it's, hey, I'm not part of this, award buzz, and I'm not considered a serious creator. Therefore, these people must not actually believe in what they're doing. They must not actually be real creators. They're just trying to get into these award shows. I think there is an aspect of that here.
Effects, none of that. Carpenter put it perfectly. Horror doesn't need some kind of term, some kind of thing to make it elevated to be good. It just needs to work. And A24 misses that completely. They take the soul out of horror films. And if that's the case, who do these films actually appeal to? Now, I own one, as far as I know, A24 horror film, The Witch. This was a gift, and I appreciate it. I've used it for study, and I will continue to do so. I have not purchased another one. There is one that stands out among the rest, and it's before they got started down this road of smelling their own farts, so to speak. So who do they make these movies for? There's got to be an audience. Well, they don't really, for the most part, appeal to traditional horror fans. If you grew up horror fans in the 70s, 80s to early mid 90s, A24 really isn't as much for you. They really target younger audiences who generally don't like horror. They see it as old and stupid, and they don't like the practical effects. They claim they're cheesy, and it's all this and that and the other. It's mainly for younger audiences and newer film fans who want to look sophisticated in their films.
And this is kind of where I take issue, right? Or another area where I take issue. It's like, if you like A24, as I do, then like, well, you don't actually like it, which like, this is a phenomenon that does happen, right? It's like, you want to seem intelligent and educated and informed, and you can't be bothered to watch the schlocky 80s stuff. So you watch the stuff that's actually boring. I mean, I guess it's just like, let's like go through some of the films that they've done, right? X, Maxine, Saint Maud, I thought it was really good. The Witch, Pearl, Heretic, which I wasn't crazy about. The Killing of a Sacred Deer, Midsummer, which I actually hated. Talk to Me, Bring Her Back, which is a little bit overrated. Hereditary, didn't really love The Lighthouse, but those are great movies, man. And so, like, you're gonna tell me that Hereditary is not terrifying? Talk to Me. I mean, these are, and then not that Talk to Me was so deep, right? Green Room, Pearl. Pearl is effing amazing, man. You didn't like Pearl? You didn't like X, and you're a horror fan? Like, come on. The Witch is phenomenal. And I get that it's different, but like, there's different subgenres within horror. And I don't think that elevated horror should be a subgenre, but like, we accept that like, it's not all slashers, it's not all paranormal, it's not all folk horror, right? So we'll keep on going.
Choices. And I know there's exceptions to every rule. Before you get mad and click off, there's exceptions to every rule. And this isn't an attack on you if you happen to genuinely like the film, rather than to be taken over by marketing and
What's up, baby? What? Well, I'm recording a video. Can you give me like 20 minutes?
You think you should like in order to look like a fan. Scroll through Letterboxd. You're going to get half the reviews sounding like college essays. Like, I got a clip from one called one of these movies, an allegorical dissection of grief refracted through chiaroscuro mise-en-scène. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that's goofy, but that doesn't mean that the films aren't good, right?
Film studies, and you sound ridiculous. Okay. Meanwhile, horror fans, like traditional horror fans, are over here just like, does something ever actually happen in this movie? No, not hardly, with the exception of one, and we're going to get to that later. So, like, when you read these things, it's like people want to get so up their own backsides on these movies in order to show to other people how they're film connoisseurs, and this is, if you don't get it, you're lowbrow, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I've been told that I'm an ignorant man-child that has no idea about film and everything else. Meanwhile, I've been nominated and or won over 50 film festival awards. I've made 10 feature films, music videos, commercials, taught the subject, published scripts in the horror genre, all that kind of stuff. And I'm told that yeah, you don't know what you're talking about by, you know, a 20-something who is convinced that these are the height of horror cinema and nothing came before them that could ever compare. So what is it about then? You're a status fan. You are not necessarily a horror fan, you're a status fan. These films have gained a certain status because they're critic darlings. So you're a status fan. It's like you like the movie for more of what it says about you as someone who likes the movie rather than the movie itself. People want to seem like they get cinema. It's like a social currency. Like, you don't watch The Lighthouse for fun. You watch it so you can tweet something like, I wrote this down, an incredible exploration of masculine decay.
Right. But like when it comes to art in general, and like I think that Chase would agree that film is art, right? I think that's really easy to say. We can all agree with that. Not all art is going to impact us the same way. We don't, it's not all just, and I'm not calling like 80s horror, 90s or slasher slop, but it's not all just like enjoyable slop, right? We are going to consume different forms of art for different reasons, and we might enjoy it in a different way. Um, for example, I'm a big fan of metal, and I do like black metal, certain elements of it. As a Christian, sometimes I'm a little bit uncomfortable listening to it, but it's not easy listening, right? But it's not something you want to always listen to, but it can make you think. It can put you in a certain mood. It can challenge you in certain ways, and that might be how I enjoy that art. And I think you could obviously draw parallels here. I mean, a lot of people who don't like horror would say, "Hey, man, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you like slashers? I want to laugh at a movie. I want to, have fun watching a movie. Why would you want?" My brother actually always says this. Why would you want to watch something that scares you? Who wants to be scared? And as horror fans, we're like, "What do you mean?" Like, well, it doesn't even always scare me, but like, I don't know. I like being scared, right? We struggle to even get how they would ask us that question. So let's keep on going.
I can see John Carpenter rolling his eyes from here as that person posts that to collect online clout. And it just turns me against the movies even more than I already was. And I mean, they kind of go style over substance. So they get some things right. Yeah, for the most part, A24 films look stunning. They have beautiful cinematography. Usually they have good color grading, and every frame they want it to look like a slick, just beautiful painting. But they confuse style for story and entertainment. And The Witch, I know people love The Witch. I've done a whole thing on it. The Witch spends half its runtime staring at goats, staring on long holding shots of nothing. Hereditary, one of the most.
But he's trying to bring you to that Puritan life, right? That those people coming to America scared, afraid, establishing the civilization, right? It makes sense, right? You need the setting, you need the proper mood, you need to the proper sound design. It's very difficult to do. I mean, this guy studied like Puritan lifestyle for like 2 to 3 years before even beginning to write the film. So again, I mean, it might be. Is it that he's trying to be obnoxious and deep, or is it he's trying to bring an authentic experience to the viewer?
Overrated films in recent memory.
Dude, Hereditary is awesome. Come on, man. I'm with you on like Babadook. Like, get the F out with Babadook. Like, I'm with you on some of these films. Hereditary is amazing and it's terrifying, man.
Builds 2 hours of like really extremely implausible, dot it deep in the background, get up your butt, and oh my God, did you catch that foreshadowing? It does all of that stuff for 2 hours, and then at the end, it's like, oh yeah, crap, we got to make this a horror movie to get the funding and to get it out there, to get it in a package people will go watch. So we're gonna throw all this demon stuff in here at the end. It's people talk about the acting in it. It's very overacted. In a lot of ways. It's turned up to 11, which is much easier than a nuanced performance. And The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is just two guys arguing in iambic pentameter.
I mean, couldn't you make a similar argument about Sinister? It's like just kind of family struggle and some creepy stuff that has this massive crescendo at the end. I think Hereditary is amazing. I think, honestly, from start to finish, it is a little bit slow, but just you're experiencing the way you can empathize with the mother and this family turmoil, and this just I think the ending only makes what you saw previously that much heavier. I love it. It's also terrifying. It's a wonderful movie. On Lighthouse, it sucks. Lighthouse kind of sucks. I think there's some parts that are kind of interesting. I mean, I'm sure. I think you have to be better read than I am in Greek mythology. I didn't get much from it. I did watch it all the way through. It wasn't a turnoff, but yeah,
while slowly rotting. Like,
but I guess to counter that, if I was better read in Greek mythology, maybe I could have gotten more joy from it, right? Too many ums here. I mean, it is a descent into madness, which is fascinating and has been done. I mean, think about The Shining, one of the greatest movies of all time. It's an ambiguous descent into madness. There's a lot more blood, there's a lot more killing, there's a lot more gruesome stuff, but it is an ambiguous descent into madness. And you could say something similar about Lighthouse. Again, not for me. I don't know. I think it's really up its own ass. I would probably, if like this was the extent of his argument, it was like, hey, the Lighthouse sucked, and here's why. I'd probably agree with him. But let's keep on going.
They're like art gallery installations pretending to be horror movies. They look like horror, but they rarely feel like horror. Instead of fear, you get
Well, here's where I would challenge Chase a little bit, though. It's like, maybe it doesn't feel like horror to you because you're a Gen Xer who grew up on 80s horror. And to you, that's what horror is and forever should be, right? I'm a millennial. I'm more like 2000s paranormal horror. This stuff is a little bit different, but I do enjoy it. But yeah, I wonder how much of that is his own biases from his own upbringing and his own experiences being a mega diehard horror fan in the 80s and the early 90s.
Mood and foreshadowing that never pays off, or you get, you know, pretension that's just dripping off this thing. So like instead of suspense, you get slow pans and violin screeches on empty rooms. And oh, the power of that scene. Talk about pacing. And I'm not trying to just trash, because people like them. If you genuinely like them, cool. But
it seems like he's not actually cool if people genuinely like him. Am I right? Like, it does kind of seem that way.
Movies are slower than dial-up internet used to be when it first came out. They take the simplest plot points and stretch them to the breaking point.
People say that about Godfather, though, man. And Godfather is the greatest movie ever made, I would argue. People struggle with Godfather. They think it's slow. And there's so much to Godfather from every single scene. It's so deep that you can dig through.
Over a couple of hours of hushed whispering and long takes that push in on nothing. Critics then and fans who eat it up, oh my God, the brilliant atmosphere of that. Really, it's just boredom, and they're dressing it up like it's some sort of brilliance. Like it's not that. Horror is supposed to build tension and release it, not just build tension until it becomes background noise and people are questioning what's going on. It's like watching paint dry while someone mutters about grief. That's the other thing. Everything seems to be so grief focused on all of their movies, and just kind of slow and prodding, or you're either being lectured about.
I agree here. Like, a lot of it is, it's so grief heavy and it's obnoxious. It's like, is that all we can do is grief? It's an allegory for grief. It's a metaphor for grief. Fuck off, dude. There are other emotions.
Grief, or you're being lectured that Christianity is bad and all this kind of stuff. That's not.
We're going to go into this a little bit, because I think, first of all, like, for me, art is, I can view art independent of the artist. And the way I'm going to understand a film doesn't necessarily have to be how the writer or director intended me to understand the film. So we're going to get into this a little bit more as he goes into the Christian questions.
Horror, that is depression. Okay, it's not that. The themes in these movies always take precedence over the characters. I kind of talked about one. I did a whole video on The Witch. Eggers himself, and I've had people argue with this, so argue with Eggers himself. Eggers himself said that the movie was an indictment on Christianity and all this kind of stuff. And it's, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this, The Witch glorifies selling your soul, rubbing out your family, and then you'll get the life of exotic butters and all this kind of stuff that you want at the end if you do that. And don't even get me started on Midsommar.
Okay, so this is actually the point where that made me want to respond to this. So I looked that up. I couldn't find Eggers' quote. I'll take him at his word, because obviously Chase is far better educated on this than I am. I read The Witch as a fundamentally Christian horror film. And I understand that literally the Church of Satan like endorsed the film, which is whatever, cringe. But here's the thing, right? In when Jesus is tempted by the devil, what does the devil say to him? He says, I can make you ruler of all the earth. I'll give you all of the riches, all of this, right? Worldly glory. And Jesus doesn't accept. So as Christians, it's not at odds to believe or to see something that a woman makes a pact with the devil, or a person makes a pact with the devil, and in doing so receives worldly glory. What happens though when she makes that decision, right? She rejects the glory of the kingdom that comes to the end of her life. That is the Christian message. You can either have worldly glory, right? You can live for this world, or you can live for the next life. So to me, it's entirely plausible that someone was freed from the shackles of Christianity, so to speak, and in doing had whatever, great sex and wealth and all these other things, but in so doing lost their soul. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? I mean, this is like Christianity 101. So
basically a breakup therapy session.
Midsummer sucks. Midsummer's terrible though. Unwatchable movie. It's shocking that the person who made Hereditary, which was amazing, they did. I was so excited to see it. It got good reviews. This movie's gross, pube eating, and weird. The scene with the elder woman jumping off the cliff is heavy. It's dark, man. That scene did get me, but I don't know. It's just an awful movie. Way too many dicks. It's gross. I'm not into it.
Disguised as a cult horror movie. The Witch also spends so much time on the Puritan allegory that it doesn't give us time to make us care about the family at all. It really makes the family appear like the villains of the piece, and the devil is coming to rescue the protagonist of the film. Like, it literally sets up the devil as the good guy to rescue her from this family and their oppressive like Christianity.
The good guy, if we're defining good as like nut butter and whatever, sex and whatever things that we would consider degenerate as Christians, not good if we're concerned about the preservation of our soul and our relationship with Christ.
Aren't movies about characters. They are symbols in a thesis paper. There's no emotional hook. You often do not care who lives or dies. You're just observing misery from a distance. It's cold, it's clinical, it's the opposite of what horror should be. And the endings, the ambiguous endings, after all the slow burn, the painful push-ins with all this music that are supposed to be so symbolic that they inspire countless video essays and theses written on Letterboxd, what do you get? What's the payoff for that? Nothing. Hereditary collapses into an incoherent demon ritual that pretty much erases anything it did build. And then The Lighthouse dissolves into basically surreal chaos with no real answers, zero answers. And they will call it ambiguous. Really, it is just lazy. Any chapped ass monkey can spit out an ending and a middle to a script and a movie. It takes real talent to come up with an ending that satisfies and pays off. And they just flat out can't do it.
Endings are hard. Any chapped-ass monkey with a keyboard can poop out a beginning, but endings are impossible. You try to tie up every loose end, but you never can. The fans are always going to bitch.
There's probably a lot of truth there, and I do think the ambiguous endings can be really obnoxious, but I don't know, also some of the greatest films of all time have ambiguous endings, and a lot of stuff that could be considered elevated horror doesn't have ambiguous endings, right? Maxine, X, and maybe he's saying, because he's kind of conflating A24 and elevated horror. Maybe he's saying that these wouldn't be considered elevated horror. I mean, Pearl. I love those three movies. I'm not as huge of a fan of X as I am Pearl. But I mean, I don't even think The Witch is ambiguous. I don't think Talk to Me or Bring Her Back were ambiguous. Hereditary. But yeah, that can be obnoxious. Oh wait.
Always gonna be holes. And since it's the ending, it's all supposed to add up to something. I'm telling you, they're a raging pain in the ass.
Provoking ending. It's the ambiguity really there just to be a smokescreen to cover up the fact that they do not know how to end their stories. That's the truth of it. I mean, grading a lot of scripts teaching the act structure and everything else. They just, you have lacking writers. I mean, is ultimately what it is. So why do people always pretend these are so great? Even horror fans, some older horror fans, but mostly this is younger, newer horror fans to the genre. And when I say that, I'm saying under 40 for the most part, under 35, definitely under 30 for sure. Why do they say they like it? Why do they write at lengths on Letterboxd? Why do they come in here and do these video essay dissertations and just, you know, just engulf themselves in it? Why? Because other people they know are doing it. That's it. Critics rave, festivals cheer. So suddenly, if you say, if you're honest and you're like, I was bored, then they act like you don't get it. Just like me. Most of the time, a lot of times I've been making films or been a part of this and definitely been watching films since before a lot of these people criticizing me on it were born. And they'll tell me I don't know anything. I'm just a stupid man-child and all this kind of stuff. But they can't really tell you what it's about without going to like Chat GPT and having it explained one way, and then they try to regurgitate it out to sound extra intelligent. Really, it just comes off as extremely pretentious. Give me listen, fans of older horror movies also have rose-colored glasses on some of their favorites. But for the most part,
you guys do, man. See, I was always a paranormal guy, so I got to a lot of these slashers very late, and I'm still kind of working through them. Again, this is casual horror fan. I haven't seen everything. But like, people will still defend Friday the 13th. There's literally never been a good movie. I haven't seen the remake. Maybe that's good. Guys rave about Evil Dead. Phantasm is an unwatchable movie. It's literally unwatchable. But like, it's 80s and it has schlock. It's fucking awful. It's like reverse gatekeeping is what they do. If you don't like Evil Dead 2, you're not a real horror fan, right? You're probably one of these new jacks who likes Hereditary, but you don't like Evil Dead 2. No, I don't like Evil Dead 2. It's literally another unwatchable movie. I tried twice. I'm 0 for 2. Not trying again.
Horror fan will tell you this movie is bad, but I enjoy it because it's entertaining. With the older horror movies. Now you get others that will, this is the greatest movie ever too, and blah, 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 because their nostalgia goggles are on. Now I'm a huge nostalgic person for old horror movies, but I recognize when a horror movie is bad, and I just like it anyway because it's entertaining. These movies don't have that. They don't have the entertainment factor to fall back on. And that is the big...
By the way, he just showed one that's a really good example. It's Halloween 3. Halloween 3 sucks. Halloween 3 sucks, dude. Everyone knew it sucked when it came out. Why? Because it sucked. And now it's like, you have to say Halloween 3 is great. Won't say it. It's honestly, the jingle alone is enough that like it's too much. And it's not particularly clever. It's not particularly good.
Difference here. The people who want to really like uplift these movies there and criticize others who are honest about them not being good, they clap because they don't want to be the only one they know not clapping. It's not about horror anymore. It's about performing sophistication. And it's about seeming smart enough to endure 2 hours of whispering and looking at wallpaper. That is the honest truth. Here's the wild part though. A24 can make good horror. They have done it. They just almost never do. X is the one shining example of a great, just old.
What about Pearl? How do you not like Pearl, especially given your film chops?
School, well done horror movie, visceral, stylish, suspenseful, brutal, fun, and actually scary. It has roots in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but then other elements brought in. It celebrates horror history while delivering its own shocks and spin on things. It doesn't pretend to be profound. It wants to be a great slasher-style horror film, and it is. It's exploitative. It's all of those things that the traditional roots of horror were. But it's the only A24 film that really feels like it was made by people who love horror rather than those trying to escape the stigma of horror or being embarrassed about horror films. To that end,
I'm going to go a little bit further. Honestly, some horror films you should be embarrassed about. Yeah, some of the shit that came out in the 80s, and I know some people like it. I know if you grew up then, you probably like it. You should be embarrassed. It's horrible. It's embarrassing. Leprechaun. There's nothing redeemable about Leprechaun. It's awful. Phantasm. I'll say it again. It's just bad. It's just bad.
I really hope that the information is not true about A24 possibly getting Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, that is terrifying for many reasons that have nothing to do with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I have said many times, I recognize the original TCM is a great film. It's not one that I watch again and again. I actually prefer Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But could you imagine if A24 gets a hold of this and suddenly we've got Leatherface standing there silently for 40 minutes while someone whispers about his generational trauma that caused him to be that way?
But yo, come on. If they give it to the right guy, they're going to do a good job. You know it. You know it, Chase. You're going to like it. I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I actually like the one from the 2000s as well, which I saw first. But I think the original is phenomenal, man. I like read up on that, and it's not perfect, but it's damn close. I would kind of be stoked if A24 redid it, though, I gotta be honest.
Imagine a 2.5-hour chainsaw movie where no one gets chainsawed until the last 90 seconds, and then it's a metaphor for something. Like that's exactly what you would get. And that's
if we get that, I'll eat my words, and I would not enjoy it.
Nightmare, not in a good way. Chainsaw is supposed to be sweaty, grimy, chaotic. It's supposed to feel dangerous. And A24, I fear, would turn it into a slow, sterile meditation on grief with a muted color palette. They kill the franchise faster than Leatherface kills teenagers.
Or maybe like family trauma, right? Like isn't that I actually haven't seen them, but isn't that what no, excuse me. That's what Rob Zombie was kind of going for with Halloween. But like generational trauma turned these people into monsters. They could definitely go that way.
And that is a fact. I hope they do not get it. It is the antithesis of everything that A24 is doing right now. They do not fit together. So no, A24 is not revolutionary. It's overpraised misery wrapped in prestige packaging. And to make it worse, they're getting a lot of prestige releases, so it makes it look even more enticing. But honestly, from an objective standpoint, evaluating scripts, which I used to have to grade them, right? They confuse slowing down the script, slowness overall with depth. They confuse ambiguity with brilliance. They confuse misery with meaning. They basically try to make everything a metaphor. These films are not meant to scare you. We won't even get into Heretic. Giant plot holes. They have that problem in all their movies. Lots of plot holes. There are so many things that do not.
There's plot holes in everything, though. There's plot holes in Halloween. I love Halloween, so I'm not trashing it, but there's definitely plot holes in Halloween.
Makes sense in that film, the motivations of characters. Why bring these people in and talk to them forever if you're just planning to kill them anyway? How did you build this? Like, there's so many logic leaps and plot holes for people who are pretending to be so smart, elevated, and sophisticated. It blows my mind that. And that's it. They're not made to scare you. They are made to impress critics and make audiences who say that they love them feel smart for doing so. It's really trying to feel smart for surviving 2 hours of artsy suffering is really what it is. If I wanted to spend 2 hours watching people stare sadly at walls, I would just go to IKEA. I mean, that's honestly it. Bring back horror being horror. Don't be ashamed. If you're ashamed of horror films and you think they need to be elevated, then you shouldn't be making horror in the first place. And if you only watch what you consider elevated horror films because you think you're too good for other horror films, then you shouldn't be watching horror films either. It's not for you. It's okay. Not everything is for everyone. So just remember, not everything is for everyone. A24 is not.
Maybe A24 is just not for you. And not all their stuff's for me, for sure. But maybe it's just not for you. I don't know.
To be horror, in my opinion. They need to stick to dramas like Iron Claw and was it Uncut Gems? Things like that.
Man, Uncut Gems is so overrated.
Stick to those, and I think you will be better off. If you just want to be seen as a brilliant artist, if you just want prestige, if you just want to be patted on the back by your friends, by your in-depth understanding of misery and metaphor and ambiguity and all that kind of stuff, and you think that anyone who just likes Halloween or It or From Beyond or Nightmare on Elm Street, if you just look at them as the unwashed mass peons and you think these movies are elevated above it, first of all, I would say you were wrong, because all those movies I just mentioned are groundbreaking films that are light years ahead of anything else in many, many ways, but then maybe it's just not the genre that we should be delving into here.
Yeah, I think in some cases he's right. But I think we'll stop there, guys. Again, I want to repeat, I love his channel. I'll link it. I'll link this video, obviously, if you want to watch it all the way there. I agree with what a lot of what he says. I think a lot of the critiques are legitimate. However, his fundamental premise is what I'm disagreeing with. And honestly, I love a lot of what A24 has done. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got. So if you like this channel, please consider subscribing. I try to upload 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I'll see you guys in the next one.